The feeling is familiar now. The endless scroll through faces and arguments. The bright flash of breaking news that is gone by morning. The quiet hum of the screen, always on, always waiting. Voices come from everywhere, all at once. They are loud, certain, and angry. They tell you who to blame, what to want, and why you should be afraid. Each voice pulls at a different part of you. This part is angry. This part is hopeful. This part is scared. You feel yourself stretched thin, a collection of reactions instead of a single, solid person. It is easy to think this noise is a mistake, a flaw in the system. It is easy to believe the confusion is just a side effect of our modern world. But that might be wrong. The noise is not a bug. It is a feature. The confusion is not an accident. It is a tool. This feeling of being pulled in 100 directions at once is not a random event. What if it is a destination? What if this is the place a society arrives at, right before it agrees to give up its own freedom? The path to this place was mapped out a long, long time ago. The map is old, but the road it shows is one we are walking today. More than 2,000 years ago, a man in ancient Greece tried to answer a difficult question. How does a society that loves freedom end up in chains? His name was Plato. He was a thinker, a student of the famous Socrates. He watched his own city, Athens, go through war and political turmoil. He saw how things could fall apart, and he worried. He wrote a book that we now call The Republic. It is not a history book. It is a thought experiment. Plato imagined he was a doctor, but instead of looking at a human body, he was looking at the body of a city. He wanted to understand what makes a society healthy and what makes it sick. He wanted to find the hidden illness that could cause a free people to choose a ruler who would take that freedom away. We need to be honest about Plato. He did not trust common people. He was an aristocrat, born into a wealthy family. He believed that only a special few, trained for years, were wise enough to lead. His idea of a perfect society was rigid and controlled. It looks cold and frightening to us now. We would not want to live there. So, we are not here today to praise his solution. We are not here to say he was right about how to build a perfect world. His cure is not for us. But his diagnosis of the sickness, that is another story. He saw a pattern, a predictable slide from the most freedom to the least. He described the symptoms with stunning clarity. And if we are brave enough to look, we might see some of those same symptoms in the world around us. We might even see them inside ourselves. Plato did not see democracy as the final, stable form of government. He saw it as a beautiful but fragile stage in a cycle. He believed it carried the seeds of its own destruction. He laid out 4 steps on the path from a free society to one ruled by a single, powerful person. The first step begins with freedom itself. A society falls in love with the idea of freedom, but the meaning of the word begins to change. It is no longer just about being free from harm or from the control of a king. It becomes the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want. Any kind of limit feels like an insult. Any form of authority feels like oppression. The child sees no reason to listen to the parent. The student sees no reason to respect the teacher. The citizen sees no reason to follow the laws they do not like. Plato used a powerful image for this, the ship of state. Imagine a ship where the sailors have locked up the captain. They do not know how to navigate. They have never studied the stars or the currents, but they argue over who should be at the helm. They fight each other for control of the wheel. The one who is best at convincing the others, the one who is strongest or loudest, gets to steer. They do not steer toward a destination. They just steer. The ship drifts, beautiful and free, but lost. On this ship, the person who actually knows how to navigate is called useless. The expert is ignored. Every opinion on how to sail the ship is treated as equal to every other opinion. This leads to the second step, the creation of a new kind of person. Plato called this the democratic soul. This person is a mirror of the society they live in. They are not guided by a firm set of values. Instead, they are pulled in every direction by their desires. One day, they want to be a serious business person. The next day, they want to be a carefree artist. One moment they are obsessed with health and exercise. The next, they are indulging in every kind of junk food. They try on different beliefs like they are trying on different clothes. They have no center. They are a collection of appetites, all at war with each other. And this person is not seen as weak or lost. They are praised. They are called flexible, open-minded, and interesting. They are the ideal citizen of a state that values desire above all else. The third step happens when a new kind of leader emerges to match this new kind of citizen. In the past, leaders might have been chosen for their wisdom, their courage, or their experience. But in this new world, a different skill matters most: flattery. A new leader rises who is a perfect mirror for the democratic soul. He does not ask the people to be better. He does not challenge their desires. Instead, he celebrates them. He tells them they can have it all. He makes conflicting promises to different groups. To the poor, he promises to take from the rich. To the rich, he promises to protect their wealth. He tells every person that their desires are justified. He finds enemies for them to blame for their problems. He speaks the language of feelings, not facts. He understands the crowd's appetites, its fears, and its hatreds. He becomes a specialist in public desire. This takes us to the fourth and final step. The leader, who now calls himself the protector of the people, begins to gather more power. He claims it is necessary to defend everyone from the enemies he has named. He asks for bodyguards. He starts public projects that require more money and more control. The society is now deeply divided. It is a war of all against all, a constant state of argument and anxiety. The people grow tired. The noise is too much. The chaos is too stressful. They long for peace and quiet. They want someone to make the arguments stop. They want someone to bring order. And there he is, the protector. He steps forward and offers them a deal. Give me more power, and I will give you security. Let me handle things, and I will make the chaos go away. And the people, exhausted and frightened, agree. They hand over their freedom, piece by piece, in exchange for the promise of safety. The protector, who was created by the people's own desires, now becomes their master. The one who promised them everything now takes everything from them. The love of total freedom leads to a state of total control. The beautiful ship, drifting without a navigator, has a new captain, and he will not be giving up the wheel. Plato never saw a smartphone. He never heard of the internet. But his description of the democratic soul feels strangely familiar. Think about the experience of looking at a screen. It is a river of images, ideas, and emotions flowing past you every second. A sad story is followed by a funny video. A beautiful picture is followed by an angry argument. A new trend appears, and for a week, it is all anyone talks about. Then it is gone, replaced by the next thing. This digital river is like a perfect machine for creating a person pulled in 100 directions. It is designed to find your appetites and feed them. If you feel a little bit of anger, it will show you things that make you more angry. If you feel a little bit of fear, it will show you things that make you more afraid. It learns what you want to see, and it gives you more of it. Over time, it can feel like the world outside is just as chaotic, just as loud, and just as divided as the world on the screen. It becomes hard to find a quiet place inside yourself. It becomes hard to hold on to a single thought or a firm belief for very long. We are trained to react, not to reflect. We become a collection of quick responses, just like the democratic soul Plato described. Now think about how we talk about our leaders. We often look for people who make us feel understood. We are drawn to those who seem to be one of us. This is exactly what Plato described in his third step. A leader who is a mirror. Modern political ads are rarely about detailed plans. They are about creating a feeling. They use music and images to connect with our hopes and our fears. They tell a simple story with clear heroes and villains. They learn to speak our language, to flatter our group, and to confirm our beliefs about the world. They become experts at managing public emotion. They do this because it works. It cuts through the noise. It gets a response. It gets our attention in a world where attention is the most valuable thing. Plato also talked about what happens when expertise is lost. He worried about a world where every opinion is treated as equal. Today, we have more information available than at any time in history. But we also have a deep distrust of the sources of that information. We see experts disagree with each other. We see facts used as weapons in arguments. It becomes tempting to give up on finding the truth. It feels easier to just pick the version of the story that we like best. We choose the experts who already agree with us. We create our own reality, surrounded by voices that tell us we are right. This creates deep divisions. When we no longer agree on what is real, how can we solve our problems together? We end up on different ships, each with our own crew, convinced that the other ships are sailing in the wrong direction, on purpose. We lose the shared map that a society needs to navigate. When we face these problems, we usually talk about a few standard solutions. We say we need better education. We say people need to learn media literacy to spot false information. We say everyone needs to be more involved in their communities. We believe that if people just had better information and were more engaged, the problems would fade away. These are good ideas. They come from a good place. But what would Plato say? He would probably listen patiently and then ask a hard question. He might say, "You want to give people more information, but is the problem that they lack information? Or is it that they do not want it?" Think about it. We all know what a healthy diet looks like. The information is easy to find, but many of us still eat food that is bad for us. We do it because it tastes good. It gives us a moment of pleasure. The problem is not a lack of knowledge. The problem is that our desire for pleasure is stronger than our knowledge. Plato might argue that the same is true for information. We may know that a certain news source is biased. We may know that a story is designed to make us angry, but we click on it anyway. Why? Because it feels good to have our beliefs confirmed. It feels good to be angry at the people we already dislike. The feeling of being right can be more powerful than the desire to know the truth. So, if the problem is not about information, but about desire, how much can media literacy really help? It is like giving a person a detailed nutritional chart when what they really need is to manage their appetite. He would also question our faith in simple engagement. He would ask, what are we engaging with? Are we having calm, reasoned debates about the future, or are we just yelling at each other online? Is our engagement making us smarter and more compassionate? Or is it making us more certain of our own rightness and more hateful of those who disagree? Engagement without wisdom is just more noise. It can make the problem worse, not better. It can speed up the division of society into warring tribes. This leads to the most uncomfortable question of all. We love our freedom. We want the freedom to choose our own beliefs, to live our own lifestyle, to satisfy our own desires. Plato looked at this and saw a terrible risk. He believed that a person who cannot govern their own appetites cannot be trusted to govern a city. And a society made up of people who cannot control their own desires will eventually collapse into chaos. So the question is not just about our systems. It is not about fixing the internet or improving our schools. The question is deeper. It is about us. Are we strong enough for the freedom we have? Are we willing to do the hard work of seeking truth, even when it makes us uncomfortable? Are we willing to value the health of the whole society more than our own immediate desires? Or do we secretly want to be told what to think? Do we want a leader to come along and make all the difficult choices for us? This is the flaw in the easy cures. They try to fix the outside world without looking at the problem within. Plato's story does not have a happy ending. It is a warning. It describes a path that a society can walk almost without noticing. It starts with the bright, sunny days of total freedom, where every voice is celebrated and every desire seems possible. It ends in a dark, quiet room where one person makes all the rules. The warning is this: a society that becomes addicted to the flattery of its leaders will eventually find itself ruled by them. A people who cannot control their own individual appetites will, in the end, demand a master to control them from the outside. The love of endless freedom can become the road to its opposite. It is very important to say this again. We must reject Plato's solution. He saw this problem, and his answer was to take away freedom. He wanted a society of rigid control, run by a handful of experts who would decide what was best for everyone. He believed the people could not be trusted. His perfect city is a cage. It is not a place where any of us would want to live. Its order is the order of a prison. We must find another way. But rejecting his cure does not mean we can ignore his diagnosis. His description of the sickness is too sharp, too accurate to simply dismiss. He holds up a mirror, and in it, we can see the reflection of our own world. We can see the drift, the division, the exhaustion. We see the way we are drawn to simple answers for complex problems. We see how it feels good to blame others, and how hard it is to look at our own part in the story. So we are left in a difficult place. We have a freedom that Plato thought was dangerous. We are trying to build a society that he believed was impossible. He thought that a city of free people would eventually tear itself apart. We are trying to prove him wrong. This is the great experiment of our time. There is no simple action plan to fix this. There is no 5-step guide to saving a free society. There is only a choice. It is a choice we each have to make every day. It is the choice to seek out quiet, thoughtful voices in a world full of noise. It is the choice to listen to people we disagree with, not to defeat them, but to understand them. It is the choice to value truth more than the feeling of being right. It is the choice to be the master of our own desires, not a slave to them. Plato's story is not a prophecy that must come true. It is a map. It shows one possible road. But there are other roads. The final chapter of this story has not been written yet. We are writing it now, with every choice we make. The health of our world does not rest on our leaders, or our systems, or our technology. It rests on the character of its citizens. It rests on us.